The 9th Annual Bentonville Film Festival starts today. One of the films you'll see is a remarkable story about an unlikely cycling team. Take a look.
You can limp across the road right now, and none of this will have mattered. Or you could set a goal. You could set a goal today and know that nobody told you what you could or couldn't be. And nobody told you what you can or can't do. You decide that. You decide that today on this mountain.
Inspiring words right there from actor Matthew Modine, who is joining us, as well as director Daniel Hanna, here to share more about Hard Miles. This segment sponsored by Bentonville Film Festival. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Nice Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Let's start with, what is Hard Miles about, Daniel?
Yeah, so it's based on a true story movie about a coach at a juvie alternative school, so a school for kids that have been convicted of some sort of crime and are looking to try and rehabilitate in some way. Greg Townsend, a wonderful person who's also here in Bentonville for our screening, and what he did was to try and impart kind of a sense of like hard work and perseverance in these kids. He takes them on a cycling trip from Denver to the Grand Canyon.
Wow.
So a long journey that he hopes that they can overcome their obstacles and go on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Matthew plays that character.
Yeah, I was going to say that segues brilliantly into the character that you play. Can you tell us a little bit about that character, Matthew?
Well, you know, if you'd asked me what the movie was about, I'd say it's about love, because you can't accomplish anything that Greg Townsend set out to do without love. You know, that it was his love for these young men, and from the difficult lives that they were living in, whether they were in a gang or in an abusive home, in a horrible relationship with friends at school that somehow ended up in trouble. And Greg Townsend brings his love to these kids and shows them that the world is much bigger than that that violent home that they lived in. It's bigger than the gang that they were part of. And he brings them to the Grand Canyon, where they can see that the world is much bigger than the problems that they're living in their homes.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. And just in that clip, and these clips we're watching, you can tell that the film kind of tugs at the heartstrings, right? It is motivational as well. Maybe you could fill us in on something that you really loved about being a part of this production, Matthew.
Well, it's that. I mean, I'm sorry to go back to love, but every movie that you set out to make, you believe that it's going to be the greatest movie that you've made. And you have to approach it with that kind of love and enthusiasm and optimism. And RJ, Daniel and I, we worked together before on a movie called Miss Virginia, which was also about a mother's love for her children and about the voucher system in schools and wanting to make sure that her child had the best opportunity to receive the best education possible. And I had such a good time working with Daniel on Miss Virginia that when he invited me to participate in this story, which you know, is similar in the sense that of trying to accomplish something very difficult, and especially at this time when our country is so divided, where people is like, I'm right, you're wrong, I'm smart, you're stupid, that this kind of divisiveness that's so corrosive to our culture and our people, that to be a part of a film like this that reminds us to listen to one another and to try to imagine yourself in another person's skin. It's so important, you know, that we never really understand, as Harper Lee wrote in her book To Kill a Mockingbird, we really never understand another person till we get inside their skin and walk around in it. That we have to open our hearts and take the opportunity to try to see something from another person's point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Very well said. We've got some information on when you can check out Hard Miles. Just from listening to Matthew speak, what a powerful story about love.
That's right. Yes. And you have a connection to Northwest Arkansas. I don't think we can let you go without visiting about that for just a moment.
I grew up in Bentonville. I went to Bentonville High School, and I went to the University of Arkansas for undergrad, and I made my first little films here. You know, never thought that I would pursue it, honestly, as a career until then I did.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really great to be back and able to screen here and have people see the work that we've done, you know, out in the world and bring it back home.
Yeah, absolutely.
certainly.
Thank you both.
Homeboy does good.
Yes, for
Homeboy
sure,
does
for
good.
sure.
It's a good story all around. So thank you both so much for joining us.
Especially taking time out of your busy schedule because we know you're on a time schedule.
Yeah, you got another interview to go to
appreciate
after
you.
this.
Yes.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so
For
much.
sure.